want to grow as a grower? Are you tired of being put to sleep by your educational growcasts? Are you tired of hearing about products you don't fucking want and can't afford? Are you tired of being told how you should grow? Hi, I'm Johnny Apple, and joining me is everyone's favorite amphibian, the Reverend Pirate Frog. Join us as we sift through the bullshit on the internet and try to get better as growers. This is Your Average Grow.
Hey, dude.
Hey, man, what's up?
Not much. Do you want to explain why there's this dope-ass dude smoking a stogie in our chat?
Well, yeah, I started smoking cigars. Oh, no. We invited Strong Island to fucking grow with us, man.
Well,
Chill with us for the night, so welcome,
What's
buddy.
going
How are
on,
you?
guys? What's
Thank you for
happening?
Strong Island Grower, everybody.
Yeah. The
Long
fucking
time.
outdoor garden wizard.
That's it. It's a long time in the making.
Yeah, we've been trying, but for some reason, we could only get together to record too late. And Strong Island has this weird thing called a job that he has to show up for the next day.
Yeah, midnights don't work for me.
It's because you're on the wrong coast. You're on the wrong coast. It was easier when you came to visit me on the right coast, right?
Right? That was a good time.
Yeah, it was. We hung out in Anacrime. Nobody's had that much fun there.
Oh my God.
But
Too
thank you
much.
for joining us, man. There's a fuck ton of stuff that we're gonna get into. I even told you when I saw you last that one of the things I wanted to talk to about specifically is the reason you grow. We won't go so far in there yet, but I'm super excited for that. But let's let Johnny ask a couple questions that always seems to break the ice.
Well, yeah, it kind of ties in. I think we
Yeah.
know the answer, but like, what got you into gardening, man? When did you start gardening?
So, I mean, there's a picture of me floating out there somewhere, butt naked at like 2 years old with a hoe in my hand, standing with my father in the garden.
That
You
could
know what
have
I
two
mean?
different
So
meanings.
it's been since I was a little kid. I've always been, just, I guess, interested. My father, it's a big part of my father's life, big part of my grandmother's life, big part of my uncle's life. A large portion of my family is very into gardening. So at an early age, I was introduced to it, being it was, a hobby of my father's. He always tried to, have me be a part of it with him as a kid, so that's where I got my start. That's where I kind of fell in love with it.
I can say, man, you inherited a hell of a green thumb because you have pictures of your gardens outdoors that I look at almost religiously on the weekends, Sundays when I'm doing my whole spiel. But it's always impressive. It's just you have a skill, man. So you learned well.
I try. It's a lot of work, and it's one of those things. When it comes to gardening, you're always learning. You're always changing. There's always new things to try, and that's what's kind of exciting for me. And that's one of the things I enjoy about it.
What type of gardening do you do? Are you an organic grower fully, outdoors and indoors?
So I really started like vegetable gardening. So I helped my father a lot as a kid, but as I got older, it just wasn't an interest. Hanging out with my friends and partying and everything else became a bigger part of my life. I went down some avenues, and gardening was not a part of that,
That is the nicest way of saying that I think I've ever heard.
Gardening was, came later, diving back into it, was therapy for me. It was something that I found probably going on about 20 years ago. I got back into it. And, when I first started, it was Miracle Grow. It was, whatever. I didn't know. I didn't care.
Yeah.
You really didn't think of these things. It was what everyone did. you know?
Mhm.
So at that time, my father was taking on some techniques. You know, he lives down in North Carolina, so he lives on a little island. And one of the things he does is kind of like, you know, like merch, you know, he would go to the coast and snatch up a bunch of
So
seaweed
dope.
and, you know, start doing like, JLF with seaweed. So, you know, he kind of inspired me to go down that organic road, I guess, you know, and for a long time, my father was synthganic. He came from the school of, you know, spraying chemicals and using 7 as pesticides and things like that. But he was also
Can't get
starting.
my uncle away from the 7 dust,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
It's like, dude, come on, man.
It's the way they were taught, though. It's
It's
so
10,
10,
ingrained.
10, and
Yeah.
7 dust. That's just what he does.
That's my father for the longest time. But he was starting to pick up some of these things, and then as I was getting heavier into the gardening, you know, with the internet and everything else, I started watching YouTube videos, and a lot of people, you know, were kind of making these switches, and you hearing a lot more about these organic methods and how to kind of approach that. So the deeper I dove into information for gardening and how to go about certain things, you know, that was just kind of, it snowballed. The more and more I heard about the organic methods, the more and more I liked it, you know, and I liked the idea of it. It's kind of funny because not to plug or anything like that, but the compost tea that I use, I've been using it for years and years, and it's because I found that gentleman online, and he would call them dedrients, you know, referring to, you know, oil-based like salts, you know, because that's where a lot of those fertilizers, Miracle Grow and things like that, they're derivatives of oil refinement and gasoline refinement, you know. So, and that was something that stuck with me, and I was like, boy, you know, yeah, I don't want to eat that. I don't want that on my food. And that was kind of it, man. I just put all those things to the side. I stopped using them and just went full organic after that. Now,
Awesome.
I want to say something because I don't want people to ever jump on me. Everyone chooses to garden the way they garden. I don't look down at anyone who chooses any other method, you know. That was just my interest.
It's all medicine in jars, and it's just how you personally like to do it.
Exactly, man. Exactly. 100%. So
probably not so much with food, though. I don't know how.
Yeah,
I think there are some things you probably shouldn't fertilize with, right? If you're going to eat it.
Yeah, no, I seen some wild methods. You know, you dive down some rabbit holes. You know, I watched a guy use his own urine on a hay bale. You know, and because of the ammonia process, it turns from ammonia to nitrates to nitrite, or nitrites to nitrates, which is nitrogen, and he grew tomato plants out of it. His own piss.
Oh yeah, there's in all those handbooks. There's chapters on what to do with human waste. If you want to get, I don't think I could ever go that crunchy, man.
I've
looked up like a dog shit composter. You're supposed to like bury this or whatever, and it still is like, yeah, it sounds cool. I might spread it back on my yard, but I don't know,
maybe
man.
on the grass or something.
Yeah.
I love my dog, but I don't think I feed him well enough to fucking trust this shit coming out.
Oh my god!
The amount of shit and dog treats and crap he probably gets. But yeah, what a wonderful topic.
Why does this apple already taste like bacon?
Oh my god!
Oh yeah, but yeah. So you started down the organic path with your outdoor garden.
Yeah. So I've been growing organic for probably like 15 years now. You know. Really, you know what it was too. So my kids, my oldest son's 16, so it's probably actually closer to 17 years I've been growing fully organic. Because one of my things was, I hear the stories of my father with me as a kid coming home, and he was about to put, really harmful pesticides because he thought he had rabbits eating his cabbage. And he comes home one day, and there I am laying down on the belly with my head in my hands, eating the cabbage.
Oh,
And
my goodness.
I was like 3 years old, 4 years old. And he literally came home from work and was about to put like harmful stuff on that,
Oh,
like
jeez.
pesticides.
Yeah. It's that stuff you don't think about.
Yeah. So I said, I want my children to be able to go in my garden and grab a piece of kale or a piece of spinach or a tomato and not even have to worry about washing it. If they want to eat it right there, eat it right there. And,
That's
I always kind of encouraged my kids to do that, so it's another reason why I do it.
Feeling, man. We were doing that when we were picking all our strawberries. There's a bunch of kids over and they were help picking. They were eating half as many as they were putting in. It's
awesome.
It's a comfortable feeling knowing there ain't no chemicals on that shit.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a great childhood memory. It's like we have orange groves, and I remember one Boy Scout camping or Cub Scout, I can't remember. We went to an orange grove, and it was like the rule was, oh yeah, you can have as many oranges as you want that are off the ground, and that was great. But then, being the dumb boys that we are, we started picking them off the trees and throwing them at each other and shit.
Oh, he went mute.
Yeah.
Sorry, Megan got home, so Captain is about to fucking go off, so I had to tag. But yeah, it is a great memory as a kid, especially being in nature. And if they can see it from seed to the moment they can put it in their mouth, you're going to get a better reaction to them eating vegetables anyway. It's a formative thing to do, I think.
100%. And I've always preached that to my kids too. Like, you want to see a miracle, plant a seed, or have a kid plant a seed and bring it all the way to harvest. To me, that's super important. I posted a video, I think, on my channel, on my page on Instagram, of my kids releasing ladybugs into the garden as pest control, things like that, always trying to make them a part of it.
Speaking of, I just fucking, with the thrips issue, we just released 3,000 in my 2 4x4s.
Wow.
They're all over the lounge right now too. There's ladybugs crawling all over, eating all the shit and around the fucking lounge. It's like, cool. Let the ladybugs and the spiders walk around this place and get all the shit I don't want.
That's awesome.
Johnny's gonna be overrun in ladybugs in like 3 weeks. He'll keep buying more and more.
Right?
Yep.
They'll nest in your walls, man. Be careful.
Oh shit! There you go. That's the problem for next year's.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Oh shit. So you said you make a compost tea. Do you make your own compost?
So what's funny is this is the first year in over 10 years that I haven't. My next door neighbor had some critters, and I had actually 2 crates. They were 180-gallon crates side by side, and I would mix, kind of bounce between the 2 crates, and make my own compost. Last year, the compost bins were starting to break down. It was kind of time for new ones, and I actually had my son. I think I was away on like how I met Rev that time when I went to California. I was away. Asked him, "Hey, listen, turn the compost for me." He goes, "Pop." I stuck the shovel in there and I heard something squeak. And I was like, Sure enough, that compost bin had a couple of little fuzzies in there. Yeah. And wifey was like, yeah, no. Yeah. She was like, yeah, no.
That's not a conversation you're winning.
No.
There's nothing that you can do.
She puts up with a lot of shit. So, sometimes.
Exactly. It's also not a hill you'd want to die on.
No.
It's like, yeah, I'll you win this one. What's the point?
So we...
Speaking of your wife.
What's that?
Speaking of your wife, though, sorry to interrupt the compost. No. When we were talking, you talked about organic too, but I kind of wanted to get into one of the major reasons that you do grow organically too is because you grow for your wife, right?
So
primarily.
So here's the thing. I'll reveal the secret.
Yeah, the big. Yeah.
So only a couple of people know. Rev knows. I had a brief conversation with Captain. I had a brief kind of text message with BGG. And I really honestly think that's it, man. So I'm a fake. I'm a fraud.
Company.
I fake the front. I don't use. I don't partake. I don't smoke. I got 24 years clean and sober. I haven't drank alcohol or used cannabis or anything in 24 years. It's just a choice I have to make for my own personal, health. So, but I'm a huge advocate for it. I'm a huge advocate for cannabis use. I am anti-big pharma.
Exactly.
And I'm a huge proponent for psychedelics as well. I think mushrooms are super important and are super beneficial and helpful to people, and I think, it's kind of silly how these things are treated. But long story short, my wife suffered some issues from medication she was on. And, it was a really touch and go kind of scary situation. When me and my wife first met, she was a cannabis user, stopped using when we had kids, and was always kind of sketchy about going back to it. Everyone kind of in my family and friends and in my circle, know I'm a gardener and would always kind of joke around. Oh, when are you gonna ever grow? You'd be an awesome grower, blah blah blah. So one day I was just like, you know what? There's got to be an alternative to these medicines because it's not healthy for you. She lost well over 50 pounds. She couldn't eat. She couldn't sleep. It was a little scary. So I reached out to my neighbor who smokes, and I was like, yo, you got to give me a little piece. I want to have Lorraine try it, my wife try it and see how it works. And she did. And it was like a night and day difference. I said, put that shit away. Just
let's switch over.
100%, Rev. And it brought back her appetite. She got the munchies. She was able to sleep. The weight loss stopped. She was able to kind of get back on track. And part of that medication was supposed to help with anxiety, and it was actually giving her like agoraphobia. She was getting afraid to go even to family functions. Yeah. Johnny, it was bad, dude. So ever since she's been partaking, like things like this, we wouldn't have been able to do. Right now, I'm upstate. I'm not far from you right now, Johnny. And a couple, 2 years ago, that wouldn't have happened. She'd been, I can't do it. I can't go. She would literally panic to death. And now she's all about it. You see all the shows I've been going to, the concerts and things like, this is all kind of milestone stuff for us right now, because she wasn't able to do that for a long time. And it's because of cannabis she can.
I think what was funny is when we first were going to go meet up, you told me like, hey, Rev, you don't need to bring me anything. I don't partake. And we started talking. And you were like, yeah, it's I feel like a fraud. And I go, dude, you have a more legitimate reason to be growing this plant than any person that I've met, right? Like I selfishly grow it for myself and whatever issues I have, but it's at the end of the day, it's just for me. But I remember telling you too, like just if you're a fraud, dude, I don't know what the fuck I am. Like I can't think of a more noble cause. So if there's anybody out there like you who feels like that, I'm a fraud or I don't belong, like fuck off. That is some bullshit logic, dude. Like you're doing exactly what we need this plant to do.
Yeah, man.
It's a better representation for the plant I can't think of. But it was awesome to have you share that. We're excited. I'm sure a lot of people will respect your opinion more now too. That's it.
Have you ever looked into like growing teas with the leaves and stuff for yourself?
Not. It was something that was someone else just spoke of that. Because I'll snack on them. I'm just like that. Like I'll walk through my garden and just eat like whatever. And I'm like, let me give it a shot. And I'll just putzing around, just kind of snack on it as I walk through the garden, just kind of getting like a taste for it. And I'm like, but I've never made any teas. I've never put them into salads or anything like that. I've been toying with some ideas of CBD, even just trying to grow some straight just CBD strains. To even, one of the reasons, I'm not out in the field doing HVAC anymore is, a lot of injuries. I have a back injury, an elbow injury, knees have taken a beating. So
it's the hardcore shows. Dude.
Yeah. And so I looked into CBD to maybe start making like salves, things like that. But I've never looked into just using like the leaves or anything as teas.
Right on.
Have you?
No, I've been considering. I've been thinking about it, like throwing the leaves in a salad or something like that. But I haven't done any looking into it to see like what are the benefits of it or anything like that. But I've considered it.
I mean, I'm sure it's nutritious. I'm sure there's, we know there's a lot of vitamins and minerals and stuff like that in it. So I'm sure it's, of course it's healthy for you, but I just don't know if there would be any benefit, as far as
medicinal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know.
But yeah, so that was it. I as soon as I saw that it worked, I was like, well, where I am in New York, I'm like, yeah, I'm not spending $60 an eighth. I was like, not when I can grow, and that was it, man. I was just like, let me just kind of entry level, get like a cheap kind of setup and see what kind of damage I could do. And it's kind of funny. I'll just tell a funny story because my first grow was, and this is how I met all of you guys actually, was my first grow was all ILGM seeds. And I grew White Widow and Granddaddy Purple. So I'm looking at all these videos on YouTube and stuff like that, and I see this name, Captain Autoflower. I'm like, oh, let me check this guy out. So I start watching his videos, and him and Monster right away are like, oh, yeah, these fucking new growers, man, with their ILGM seeds growing out White Widow and Granddaddy Purple. And I was like, oh, my God, you got to be kidding me. And I actually reached out to Captain. I was like, yo, man, you fucking blew me up. And yeah, that's how I kind of got into this community, is like just that one like funny interaction here and that. And, that's kind of what brought me here.
Worst day of your life.
Right? The worst. The fucking worst.
No, it is funny. I've said multiple times, but Captain Autoflower is also the reason that we're, all talking as well. But I just similarly to you liked his punk rock attitude when it came, because when you start watching shit, there's a lot of, interesting people. We say, there's a lot of weird things, but that's why I like doing this, where we talk about the reasons people should grow. But when you first started messing around and growing, and your wife started smoking it and changing, how quick was it before she said, hey, you got to get more, do bigger?
So it's funny because like just joking around one day, I was like, I'm thinking about, one of those like little barn style 2-story like sheds, they're like 20 by 30. I'm like, man, just think of the damage I could do in that. And all of a sudden she was like, well, where would you put it?
That's right.
So
that's right. When she first got back on it and noticed all the improvements, was it an easy sell to everybody who saw? Because I know sometimes you get people who have weird hangups regardless, right? You tell them you don't want to take, I hate to make it about myself real quick, but my dad is in his late 60s or middle 60s. Doesn't take any medication, right? He's only ever used cannabis his entire life. And when he'll say stuff like that, people will be like, well, that's not true. You're just an old stoner. It's like, I don't know, man. At his age, with that kind of track record and the other illnesses in the family, like, but you still get people that are hesitant to believe you, right? Even if they can kind of see it themselves, they kind of think like, oh, she's getting off pills. That might be the end of her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So did you get any backlash at all?
I was open with, say, like my family, to let them know, what she was doing. Really no backlash from them. They worry about me, of course. They're like, how do you deal with that? Like you're kind of in the lion's den kind of deal,
Quite
yeah,
literally,
but with her family, her mom was very understanding. Her dad is kind of like that old school, like, pot's the gateway drug. It's, the devil's lettuce kind of deal, so that was
hang out at your jazz club.
But he's, it's undeniable though. You see the evidence, you see the difference, and he sees it. So he's, pretty accepting of it. One of the difficult things and one of the hang-ups for my wife was the children. And not putting down anyone who drinks wine or drinks or anything like that. But, it was kind of like I justified it. It goes, think of all the wives and mothers that come home from work, Lorraine, and pound a half a bottle of wine. I'm like, what's wrong with smoking a joint? Like, I would rather someone smoke a joint of cannabis, and get high than be drunk.
Oh, okay, I'll do that.
Why don't you do that, Johnny?
Yeah.
Do one for me. But all of the bad things, I've never gotten in a bar fight, all right, in the past, from smoking a joint. You know what I mean?
No,
so that was kind of like the justification for me with Lorraine. I was like, listen, there's a lot worse things. That think of all the closet, moms that are eating pills all day, or I'm like, there's really a lot of worse things you could be doing. And, that was it, man. She, most everyone else, you realize once you kind of come out and say you smoke, how many other people smoke,
It is not a hard secret to get let out when you're just like, oh yeah, me too. Oh shit.
Exactly. And it's
I got a picture.
So, my kids' friends, we go to like a smoke shop and we bump into their parents, and it's like, yeah, okay,
Yeah, they went up.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah, it is when you have evidence like you do. There's not much you can say, and if you do still say something, you're just wrong in the head. So your opinion don't mean shit.
Do your research.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it was, when I heard that, it was really interesting because also, like you, I'm sober, or as they say everywhere else, California sober. I just don't drink anymore. But it is really a mind trip when you start to think about like the amount of people that'll come home and be like, yeah, I'll crush a 6-pack, but that guy smoking a joint's a fucking criminal.
You know what I mean? How crazy is that rationale, man?
Yeah, I've never gotten so high I ended up in the hospital almost dying, right?
Yeah. Exactly. And that's the weird thing about it. And it's funny because a lot of people will ask me too. They're like, how do you do it, dude? How do you grow? How do you stick your nose in a jar? Like my wife, she can't roll a joint, dude. I roll for her. I pick out. I'll pick her out a goodie bag of different stuff I grow. I'm like, oh, I got that new sour gingerbread from Alabrije. How is it? And it's like, I got to live vicariously through her and family members and neighbors. But they all ask me the same thing. They're like, how do you do it? But for me, it's just a choice I just have to make. I just don't trust myself, I'm afraid of letting my guard down. You know what I mean? That's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, I think that if anybody tries to, because I've seen that too, where people are, well, just try it, and you're like, listen, I know me, and it's not worth the risk.
What does Monster always say?
The juice ain't worth the
Exactly.
squeeze, baby.
You know,
Yeah.
I wish I could, but it's just not worth it. Where I am now, I have a wife, kids, house. None of that would have been possible if I was stayed on the path I was on, you know, so.
Amen, brother. We're glad to have you in every capacity we
No
can.
doubt.
I appreciate it. But you know what? That's not ever, would never stop me from advocating for it. Because, like I said,
Yeah.
man, I would much rather, even when it comes to my children, I'd rather see them come home stoned one day than, you know, be brought home by the cops drunk, or get that phone call that they were drinking and driving, or, you know, something like that. You know, I'm a big advocate for it. So.
Yeah, I would imagine, and obviously it's not my lane as someone who doesn't have kids, but I would imagine it would be so much easier to be like, oh, thank God they got stoned, than like, fuck, I gotta go worry about a car too and shit.
You know. And that's it, you know, and that's another thing, you know, I'm very open with my kids, you know, I do not make them a part of it, you know. It's like a lot of other aspects in life, you know, kind of out of sight, out of mind. But I'm also, you know, I don't lie to them, you know. I was very open with them of, this is going to be in the house. If you come across it, you're going to see it. You might smell it. This is what it is. And this is why I'm doing it. And we were open with my kids about that. And, you know, luckily, you know, I'm blessed with 2 good kids. But we don't make it a thing in the house. You know what I mean? We don't, it's not like, oh, you know, hey, why don't you come out and help me defoliate, or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't push it to that extent, but I also don't hide it. You know what I mean? So it's just what.
Yeah, I think especially as your kids get older, it's more respectable, right? They can choose their own path.
Because they're gonna anyway. And you know, you see it with the kids whose parents don't want their kids to have sugar. You know, the moment, you know, the parents turn their back, that kid's on the cupcakes like a crackhead. You know, like,
oh yeah. Well, you look at like, especially any sheltered kid or overly religious kid. If you keep them cooped up, man, the first second they taste freedom, they go fucking crazier than anybody else, right? Because if it became the forbidden fruit, and it looked fucking delicious, so they almost always overdo it because they're not prepared.
Exactly. And that's what, you know, and sometimes, you know, as a parent, you second guess yourself, and you're like, you know. But ultimately, you know, I feel like honesty kind of trumps everything. And, you know, as long as I'm open with them, like I said, they don't even really ask about it. You know, they'll make funny comments sometimes, you know. Be like, oh, yeah, you know, say something like my wife walks in from the shed out back or something like that. And they'll be like, oh, nice perfume, Mom, you know, like, so.
I'm sure they're happy to have their mom back. So it's an equally good pickup.
Yeah, 100%, man.
Now, I want to ask specifics. What do you got going out in your garden right now?
Damn it, you took the question out of my mouth, fucker.
Well, okay, here's my logic,
so vegetable-wise or medicine-wise? I don't know.
Well, see, that's why it's an open-ended question. No, here's my logic, Johnny. You have like 15 questions assigned to you per YAG episode, it seems, nowadays. So I figured I'd ask 1 or 2. Plus, I already know the answers that this New Yorker is going to give me. So I'm just kind of buying time before I get disappointed. No, I can't make fun of New York. It doesn't start with an M.
That's it. You're on the M mission.
M state first. Fucking coming for you, Minnesota. I don't know anyone in Minnesota, but yeah. So let's start.
It's funny you say that. So one of the things I have in my yard is 2 monstrous plants, nitro fuels, by Big Sky Beans, and that's where he's from, Minnesota. He's a breeder up there.
Wait a second. Isn't Big Sky Country like in another state? Isn't that Montana? Don't they call themselves Big Sky?
You know what? I'm sorry. You're right. It's Montana. Thank you.
I was going to get really confused. I'm not going to start shit with Montana because there's like 10 people in that state and they all own tanks and guns.
Yes, but it's another M state nonetheless, so you could hate on them later. But
That's true.
Yeah, I got nitro.
They won't hear this, though. They haven't invented the radio in Montana quite yet.
That's still on smoke signals.
Thank you. This is what I need. I need more allies in my Strong Island, and I are going to get a hate mail from both the mayor and governor of Montana. They're brothers.
That's it.
I can't wait.
Anyhow,
First thing in the morning, Sunday morning, we're gonna get a message on Discord like, "Hey man, I'm from Montana, and I'd just like to thank you."
I would like nothing more than one day to be just riding my bike or like just somewhere and someone goes, you talking shit about Montana, boy? Just like, oh shit.
I was just kidding.
Just some giant cowboy beating the shit out of me on the beach, and people are gonna be like, oh fuck, don't fuck with Montana, dude. No, that won't happen because there's only a couple people and they can't hear or read. No, I'm just kidding. Jesus Christ. Moving on. Sorry, Montana's great.
Yeah.
I'm on Minnesota.
Yes,
right
Minnesota.
Now. But yeah, your nitros. Those are. I think you've got what 5, 8.
Right now, I have.
That's not it.
All right. So this is my last year. I grew 3 photos outdoors, but they were late, and I transplanted them twice. I kind of moved them from one bed to another, and it stunted them. So they really didn't produce much. So this year I was kind of on a mission. I was like, you know what? Free grow, free sunlight, means free water. Let's see what we could do out in the garden with these, photo periods and see what happens. So I grew out a whole bunch of plants early on, and I made a really stupid mistake, and I knew better. But it was one of those things. I went out and I got really cheap potting soil to start all these seeds in, and it must have been like from China or something like that, and had all chemicals in it because it killed and stunted everything. My vegetables, my weed plants, everything, man. It just freaking killed everything. So I kind of had to do like a big reset. But I wound up growing out. So I had Nitro Fuel, Fuel OG, and a couple of others from Big Sky Beans. The only 2 that made it were the Nitro Fuels, and it's the 2 I have in my yard. So I have the 2 Nitro Fuels, and then I have joint custody seeds. I have joints. He gave me, because I met him too out in Vegas. Like Rev, I try to make it a point to try to meet people and say hi, shake everyone's hand. I met Joint out in Vegas, and I picked up a bunch of stuff from him. And one was Venom Juice, his Venom OG crossed with his blueberry and orange juice. I think it's F2. And his PB and Cray I grew out, and I grew something else out. It might have been his... Man, I can't remember the name of it, but I grew another strain out that didn't make it. I grew out the PB and Cray. I grew like 4. 3 showed sex early on, and they were males. So I have the 1 PB and Cray. I have 1, 2, 3 Venom Juice. Like 7 or 8 plants altogether. I forget right off the top of my head right now, but yeah, I got like 7 photo periods, all 7 foot plus right now in my yard.
Even that male that you were disappointed in was still. I mean, Jesus, it was. Yeah,
that one got me because it was weird. It was that was another Venom Juice. So it's funny because I planted like 5 Venom Juice seeds and like 5 PB and Cray, and 4 of the PB and Cray were males right off the bat, and I got the 1 female, and it was like vice versa for the Venom Juice. It was like I had 1 male, and the rest were female, or I thought were female, and then that 1 just sexed out late, but it was straight male. It wasn't a herm. It was a straight male, but he was already 7 foot tall before he decided to grow nuts, and it was so crazy because it was like I was out there in the morning and didn't even notice, and then by the time I got home from work, he was all balls, man. I was like, oh man. So
Hell of an afternoon.
it was a kick in the balls, man. I was like, oh no. And I was like, what did I do? You know, did I do something to harm it? It wasn't a harm because when it comes to cannabis, I'm still learning a lot, you know. I'm pretty new. I grew some stuff as a kid, messing around. And my stepfather was a big grower, but I wasn't a part of that really. So I didn't. Periodically, he may have me go up and help him do some things, but I didn't know the ins and outs. So, growing cannabis is all pretty new to me. So I'm still learning a lot, and, not recognizing certain things and, something like that. I was like, oh boy, what did I do? Why did this thing go from what I thought was a female to, man, this thing's just loaded with balls? But
especially that quick, you're going, holy shit, what did I do last?
So instantly I took a picture. I sent it to Joint. I was like, yo, bro, what did I do? He's like, nothing, man. It's a boy. Nothing you could do. Just showed sex late. Don't worry about it. So he got the whack. He became mulch for, fertilizer for the lawn. Ran it over with the lawnmower. And that was it.
There you go.
That's it. So
yeah, they're beautiful and all quite healthy. It's always a great thing to see. It always makes me feel like real shit walking out of my
It's funny because my two biggest plants are actually growing in the site where my old compost bins were. And I kind of accredit to that's one reason why they're monstrous like that, is because the soil there is just, it's silly, so.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What do you got indoors?
So I have a full-blown Alebrije tent, my 3x3, which I want to ask you guys something. I already, the question, Rev. But 3x3 right now, and I have that dedicated straight to Alebrije right now. I just like growing his stuff. I'm successful with it. It does well. I don't have any problems. He's a great dude. He's doing some killer shit. So, and the wife really likes it.
It's winning.
Yeah, it's winning for her, especially. It agrees with her. She doesn't get all locked up on the couch, man. She smokes a little tangy or a little gingerbread or blue Zeroso or something like that, and she's there scrubbing the floors and cooking dinner. Easy.
Yeah. I mean,
easy.
if that's not some words that Alebrije should digest and continue to make great narrow leaf only plants, I think. Nah, it is. It's a wonderful thing. Obviously, he cares, but if you can get, I think that the Alebrije dedicated tents are popping up all over the place. It's got to make him feel.
Yeah, I'm sure
he deserves it. But what Alebrijes are you growing?
So right now, it was kind of like before I even knew the whole like birthday thing was going to go on. It was kind of like an anniversary thing. I got 2 tangy tibaguanas going, and I just picked up from the last drop the Days Sabrana. So I got 2 Days Sabrana and 2 tangies in that tent. I don't know what I'm in for, because I reached out to Alebrije. I'm like, listen, this is what I'm thinking about doing. What's the size comparison from the Days Sabrana to the tangy? Because I just grew out those sour gingerbread, and they were short, kind of squatty, stout plants. Is where my Alebrije was like 45 inches or something like that. My tangy was like 45 inches. Yeah. Was like 45 inches tall or something like that. So he's like, nah, they're kind of similar. So have fun with that. So it's going to be a packed tent.
I'm watching that tent like a hawk these days. Dazed is my next, and I always love tangy. So you're definitely the guinea pig for me, and I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Wow. Yeah, we'll see, man. I'm a little nervous, it's only a 3x3, and I'm like, oh man, that's gonna be fucking packed, so
Yeah, you'll be busy, but it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, really.
yeah. And then I have in there too right now, I got my Canna Bonsai, which I did his Star Crunch cross with Dog Walker. That
was
the
the first
freebie that came with Tangy.
I'm thinking about doing that.
Yeah.
One of either that one, or I'm gonna do a frogs mix for my Canna Bonsai. I've got a whole thing. I gotta get it planted. I'm also in another. Sorry, I just remembered, and I'm gonna spew it out. But I'm in another solo cup grow off for Association of Free Weed for his Berserker solo cup. So I gotta do both of those in time. You didn't need to know that, but I fucking just
nah, why not? That's cool.
But yeah, so you're there's a name for that fucking freebie. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Which one was that?
The Star Crunch by Dogwalker. He has a all fancy name for it.
Oh, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I should. Yeah, exactly. And then and something really exciting is I got my first indoor photo period. So, and that was it was a toss up. I was gonna do joints. I was gonna do a PB and Cray indoor and do my first indoor photo run with that. But then I was kind of like, I want to give BGG a chance. So I did a little coin toss and BGG won. So I went with his, oh God, I'm brain farting right now, man. The sauce, Johnny, because I was inspired by Johnny. My God, how could I brain fart on that? I saw Johnny's picture of the sauce and I was like, that's it. That's the one I'm going to go with.
It's a fucking killer shot.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you're not going to be
He doesn't
disappointed.
take very many pictures, but when he does, they're fucking
Dude,
gorgeous.
it was beautiful. That dark green and all the freaking trikes on that thing. I was like, oh my God.
I should take an updated picture of that thing. Oh my God, man. You should see the fucking donkey dicks on that.
Oh, really?
Oh man, the limbs are falling all over. I had to like tie it up with some fucking string and shit. They're nice.
You know
I
what
think
would help
she's
us
about
all
to
is
finish
pictures
too.
of this shit, jackass.
I'll get there. I'll get there.
One day, fucking 2 years from now, I'll get a picture. Sorry, that was a side note, but yeah, that's going to be a great. I look forward to watching your sauce.
You should see my dad's. One of he had two in his 2x4, and one of them it just outgrew the other one. It's only one branch at this point, and I'm just trying to see if I can get it up to the light. But the other one is fucking incredible. He just sent me pictures of the buds on that. It was like, whoa, man.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be happy, man. It's a beautiful plant. It's short and stouty from what I've seen. Yep, I haven't seen only the one did stretch, but
really
bushy, so they're a trimmer.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I was like, then there was part of me was like, oh, do I try to do two in the, because I'm doing that in the earth box in the other tent. And then I was almost like, ooh, do I try two? So I reached out to BGG and he's like, you could, but you're not going to want to veg for too long if you do that. And I was like, you know what? I don't even want to deal with that. And I would hate to see one choke another one out. Let me just do the one.
Yep.
I think you'll like it more.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you? So what's your plans for it? What kind of training are you gonna do?
So I'm not gonna scrog. I'm not gonna go down that road yet. I figured being it's in the shorter tent, it's only a 64-inch. So you figure with the light and everything else, I'm probably in the earth box, and I had the casters on the earth box. So it's not like it's right on the deck. It's, it's up. So I think it's with the casters, it's like 13 and a half inches tall already. Yeah. So I don't have a whole heaping lot of room to play with. So I just kind of figured, I might try topping a couple of times to keep it a little squatter. I don't
think you're going to have to with it.
You don't think so? Okay.
No, I don't think you'll have to with it because it is short and stocky and bushy.
Yeah.
I think if you do some LST,
I just figured maybe some heavy LST with it, you know?
Yep, LST and trimming on her.
It'll fill up that
Yep.
tank.
I flipped mine early when I did mine. She's one of the ones that we flipped to 12 early. Like,
Okay.
I don't know, they were 6 inches, 8 inches
Yeah,
tall,
you
maybe.
said, I remember you saying that you flipped them really early. Okay.
Yep. She didn't have any problems with it. I had 2 that hermed out, and she was fucking raging the whole time. I had to give her and the banana milk their own tents and the 2x4 because they just were hogging, leaning all over each other and shit. It's like, all right, I'll give you some room.
Okay.
So yeah,
Before we go on,
if you went that route too, because it's a short tank. One to flip early like that, she can take it.
Well, that was going to be my question to you guys. Was like, you know, being it's and I asked you, Rev, and you were kind of like, you know, yeah, you're not going to want to veg for too long, you know.
No, I suggested, that's what I was going to mention before we go on. You asked me that question, and I just responded with, Johnny just did it. Go ask him. He's smarter than I am. But in reality, I think just a few weeks, especially in your squatter tent, just a few weeks in flip.
Yeah.
I think if you do it right and you train out, I think you'll feel that thing and no problem. But before we go on, I know Johnny has some important questions to ask you. I do have something I have to say. I promised BGG that I would apologize for calling him a monster on the last episode. I'm sorry, BGG. Will you please give me my dog back?
Big green guy, not big green monster. Oh, okay. I get it.
Anywho, Johnny, let's bring Strong Island into the fold so we can have him on the circle sometime. Hit him with the questions.
Oh God, we haven't had a guest in so long. I forgot the fucking apple questions. Holy shit! What's the first seed you ever planted, and why was it an apple seed?
Okay, so I was preparing for this a little bit. It wasn't an apple seed, my first seed. I did try to grow one out once, and it didn't work. But my first seed that I ever truly remember planting was a marigold seed. Yeah, and I remember planting that with my mom. I was probably 4 or 5 years old, and we were planting marigolds. So that was my first ever seed I planted.
Keep the pest away.
Hell yeah!
Awesome.
Bring in the fucking pollinators too.
Wow, that's it. Yeah, that's
stuff.
important stuff.
What's
the next one, Johnny?
What's your favorite pie, and why is it apple?
So I do like apple pie, but my favorite pie is my wife's aunt makes a crumble pumpkin pie that I would crawl across glass to get to. It's that good. So it's that good.
Now, and that's real pumpkin, not that weird stuff that Albert Hay tried to claim.
Not that fake pumpkin nothing. Nah, this is a real pumpkin pie. With
it wasn't fake. He said squash, which is a different.
Yeah, it's not sweet potato. It's not. No.
Yeah. There you go. Solid answer. Crumble pumpkin pie.
Dude, it's so good.
What's your favorite fruit, and why is it apple?
Oh, Johnny, you're gonna hate me. So,
Did you say fucking orange or lemon?
No.
Lime, baby.
No, actually, I do love apples, especially this time of the year. You know, out on the island, there's a bunch of places to go pick fresh apples. One of my favorite. But honestly, hands down, my absolute favorite fruit, mango. 100%, man. Love mangoes to death. So
that's the second mango.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a good choice.
Righteous. All right, there's a pizza shop question. You better fucking answer this one right there. Strong Island.
This one is collusion. This one's fucking collusion.
When you walk into a pizza shop for the first time and you're grabbing a slice, cheese or pepperoni?
Well, if it's a first time, all right, and I want to know how a pie is from this place, hands down, if they fuck up a regular slice, they're no good. So you got to try the regular slice first. That's it. If you're gonna now, I'm a pepperoni guy. If I'm ordering a pie right now, it's pepperoni. But if I'm trying
There
a
you
place to test it out, it's a straight regular slice. Because if it's shit, that's it. You're out the door.
I am disappointed that you think cheese is regular. Pepperoni should be regular. But who am I to say?
I figured from California you were going to tell me ham and pineapple or something like that, or avocado on that thing.
That is the sin against Lord Frog, my friend. I can't stand pineapple on pizza. I don't get to bloodshed over, it not being pizza or whatever, but I will say I'm not a fan of pineapple on it.
Yeah, nah.
But I mean, pepperoni's the superior one anyway. But there's another question.
What's that?
Sandwich.
What's your favorite sandwich?
My favorite sandwich? I'm a Long Island guy. It's an Italian hero. 100%. Capicola, salami, pepperoni.
Dude, I've made my own capicola before.
Yeah.
Oh my god, bro, it was so fucking good. Yeah. So good. Yeah, that's
Yeah, no, that's it, man. That's my favorite. If I'm going to like a deli, it's the same thing. If they fuck up an Italian hero, then then they're no good.
There you go. I imagine if you messed up a pizza or an Italian sandwich in New York, you just
you might as well move to California.
That's the worst thing you could ever do to someone. Don't do that, man. That's too hard.
Yeah, nah.
Well, I approve of most of your answers. Okay, you're a friend, so I'll give you a pass. No, I'm just kidding. I can't see that. The hard part is with the New York. Like, I can give Johnny shit because he, co-host and everything. But when he gets someone fellow from New York, I can't be like, well, in my opinion, in Southern California, nobody fucking wants your opinion. Shut the fuck up. Fair point. But no, I appreciate it, man. It's been a long time coming trying to get you on. I really, really am stoked that we were able to.
I'm so happy to be here on with you guys, man. This has been, I've been looking forward to this, man. You guys have been, super, super helpful, super friendly. You guys are, like pillars in this community to me, because it's guys like you that welcome new growers and things like that, like me, into the community. You guys are open with information and help and jokes to make it lighthearted. And, I appreciate you guys.
Oh, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Johnny, cut that shit immediately.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
No, wait, jackass.
Oh, wait, it's fucking Sunday, man. Hit us with the sermon.
3 months since I've given a fucking sermon. No, I wasn't saying that. I was going to say we didn't give him a chance to plug anything, you jag shit anyway. Oh, yeah. But let's get into plugs. Johnny, do you have anything to plug before we bail out into my sermon?
No. Not really. No, I will. I'm gonna plug out Joint, man. You were talking about your PB and Cray. My mail is a Joint blueberry mail, and it was beautiful, man. And it's getting ready to come down. So shout out to Joint.
In the future episode, we got to talk about how you're having more kids, and that you getting fixed didn't seem to work.
Yes, sir.
Strong Island, my dear friend, do you have anything to plug?
Same thing. If you guys don't mind, one, shout out to Joint. Awesome dude. Go check out Joint Custody Seeds. Anyone who's listening, if you haven't already, if you don't know who he is, go check him out. Amazing dude. And also Big Sky Beans. If you haven't had a chance, go check him out. Super, super nice guy. Super friendly. Yeah, all the way in
Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota, Missouri. No, Montana. Super nice guy, super friendly, and been a big fan of him. So, and that's really it, man.
Right.
Well, that's awesome.
Where do you plug in this?
I ain't gonna plug shit ever, but I'll get into the sermon, man. Strong Island brought up a good point when he was needlessly saying nice things about us and making us uncomfortable. But I think one of the most important things that we can do when we share information, obviously we think information should be free here at YAG. But if you can share information lightheartedly and make fun of yourself, you're gonna get a lot more people to buy in. And get comfortable with learning. So don't fucking take yourself too seriously. It's literally just gardening. Don't be a dick, mind your own business, and go with Frog.
Amen. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for joining us, Strong. Peace.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.